Legislation and regulation. European Union policy and legislation on environment. The protection of environment is a target for European Union action, so the needs of environment are always taken into account in the policies of European Union. Since the first environmental action program in 1973, European environmental policies have gone a long way with hundreds of legal acts issued and relevant policies adopted. The basic rules of European Union policy and legislation concerning the environment are as follows. The principle of subsidiarity and the principle of common responsibility. The principle of subsidiarity is defined in Article 5 of the Treaty of European Union. It aims to ensure that decisions are taken as closely as possible to the citizen, and that constant checks are made to verify that action at European Union level is justified in light of the possibilities available at national, regional, or local level. The principle of precaution. Remediation is not always possible and effective, so prevention should be applied as far as possible, starting from the phase of planning and design. The prevention principle is based on exploitation of all the available scientific information, a proper risk analysis, and the participation of all the stakeholders. The principle of best protection. Member states can set stricter rules than European Union if they consider these more appropriate, but they should justify this choice. Remediation at the source, so that the environmental problems is not transferred elsewhere. Environmental liability and the principle of the polluter pays. Entities that pollute are legally liable and should pay the cost of remediation of the consequences. Basic European Union directives on the environment. Water Framework Directive establishes a framework for community action in the field of water policy. The approach of this directive is working on two axes, setting both limit values for wastewater effluents as well as quality criteria for the aquatic environment. This directive is especially relevant to producers and users of textile dyes. Legislation on chemicals, REACH and BPR. REACH stands for Regulation, Evaluation, Authorization and Restriction of Chemical Substances. It is a regulation for EU-produced textile chemical substances that are incorporated in the product, must be registered in European Chemical Agency database. For textile products imported in the European Union, importers need to notify European Chemical Agency about the product content in the so-called substances of very high concern. The regulation gives to the consumer the opportunity to be informed from the producer or retailer about the product content in substances of very high concern. The Biocides Regulation is the regulatory framework for the placing on the market and the use of biocidical products. This regulation aims at a twofold target: improving the way that biocidical products are dispatched and used in European Union market, as well as to ensure protection for people and the environment. The Waste Framework Directive specifically refers to textiles. Besides defining the waste hierarchy, for example, prevention, preparation, for reuse, recycle, energy recovery, and disposal, the directive also calls specific criteria to be developed for the end-of-life textiles waste. Industrial Emissions Directive and Integrated Pollution Prevention and Control. Industrial Emissions Directive and IPPC is the directive for environment. They apply to industries and aim at regulating air emissions by prescribing a detailed and demanding set of actions, including technical ones. The term of best available technique has been officially introduced in environmental law in European Union. As a consequence, a set of directives enacting sector-specific documents, PATs and BREFs, have been and are continuously being issued. Textile industries that are relevant to the Industrial Emissions Directive are main textile fiber preparation, pretreatment, dyeing, printing, finishing, manufacturing of carpets. Conclusion: environmental protection is one of the main axes for European Union, and relevant legislation is constantly being issued, while the volume of the existing one is already very extended. Managers should be constantly worried about new environmental regulation and demands on their business, and should set a business process for being informed and up to date.